Welcome everyone to another episode of Smooth Brain EDH, where we make the smoothest plays with the biggest brains. Today, we've got a really exciting game for you. It's been a little bit since we posted anything too competitive, so we're stepping into cEDH today. We'll be featuring some new decks too, ones never before put in one of our videos. And remember, if you enjoy our content, please subscribe for more, and don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. You can get updates and behind the scenes there. And if you missed last week's video, we're doing a giveaway as thank you for 1,000 subscribers. If you want to enter, just follow the link in the description leading to that video, and follow the instructions in that video. You could win one or two $50 TCG player gift cards. Alright, now let's see who's playing what decks. Alright, first up is Cody piloting Chandler's Chulane deck. And yes, I am aware that it is most likely pronounced Chulane, not Chulane, but I prefer to say Chulane. Now, this Chulane variant was built as a food chain deck. If you can successfully get the food chain combo started, all you need to do is cast Chulane, and he can draw your entire deck for you. After that, all you need to do is cast a Walking Ballista, or a really big Finale of Devastation. But if all else fails, you can fall back on a counterspells and removal. Up next is Logan and his Carrick deck. This mono black deck can win with several different infinite combos, a couple of which include Aetherflux Reservoir, Bolus's Citadel, and Sensei's Divining Top. All you have to do is cast Sensei's Divining Top off the top, and then activate it to put it back on. Then you can infinitely cast it, and then infinitely gain life, and ping your opponents for 50. And then also, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, Chainer Dementia Master, and any sack outlet. This combo lets you get enough ETB triggers from Grey Merchant to kill your opponents. Now, let's take a look at what Justin's playing. At first glance, if you know anything about cEDH, you're probably thinking, this is Curious Control, obviously. But
you are dead drunk.
He likes to call it Secret Storm. This deck pays homage to the ghost of legacies past, a mysterious deck known as Kobold Storm. The deck is jam-packed with as many 0-drops as Justin could find. He drops Chalice of the Void on 0, and then plays Multani's Presence, which lets you draw a card anytime a spell you control is countered. He starts casting his 0-drops, they get countered, and he draws his deck. Or at least builds up enough Storm count to kill everyone with a Tendrils of Agony, Brain Freeze, or Ignite Memories. I will say it also has Thassa's Oracle as a backup. This deck is honestly really creative, and I'm excited to see what it does this game. Alright, let's move on to the next one now. Ethan is playing Tymna and Malcolm, maybe better known as Turbo Tide. If you check the list, at service level, it has the same combo as Logan, Bolus's Citadel, Top, and Aetherflux Reservoir. But it can also pull out some cool wins by building up Storm count and casting Mind's Desire. And even for a backup win, it can use Thassa's Oracle. Alright you guys, we've seen the decks and what their game plans are. Let's take a look at the opening hands, then hop into the game. Alright, first up is Cody, who keeps a Plains, Temple Garden, Marsh Flats, Chrome Mox, Veil of Summer, Manipulate Fate, and lastly, a Cyclonic Rift. Up next is Logan, who keeps Beseju, Peat Bog, Buried Ruin, Vault of Whispers, Lotus Petal, Dark Petition, and Peer into the Abyss. Moving on to Justin, who keeps Steam Vents, Scalding Tarn, Mystic Remora, Wishclaw Talisman, Frantic Search, Brain Freeze, and Ad Nauseam. And last but not least is Ethan, who bottoms one, keeping Polluted Delta, Scalding Tarn, also Mystic Remora, Mana Drain, Mind's Desire, Ad Nauseam, and bottoming Diabolic Intent. Alright, we've seen those hands. Now let's get into this game. Looks like Ethan won the die roll. He starts his turn off with a Scalding Tarn, cracks it, finds an Underground Sea, then taps it for 1, it casts Mystic Remora, and then passes to Justin. Justin takes a pretty similar turn and shocks in a Steam Vents and casting his own Mystic Remora, and Ethan draws a card. On his turn, Cody and Logan agree to not feed the fish, and he plays a Godzilla Plains and passes to Logan. Logan has a pretty similar turn. He plays a tapped Peat Bog and passes to Ethan. Ethan pays for the fish on his upkeep, then plays a Polluted Delta as his land for turn before passing to Justin. Justin also pays for his fish, and then plays a Badlands as his land for turn and passes to Cody. Cody plays Marsh Flats and passes to Logan. Logan plays a tapped Beseju and passes to Ethan. Ethan fetches on his end step and finds a Watery Grave to the battlefield tapped. Ethan immediately untaps, pays for his fish, then plays a Snow-Covered Island as his land for turn, and passes to Justin. Justin also immediately pays for the fish, then plays an Underground Sea as his land for turn, and then passes to Cody. Cody draws, plays a Prismatic Vista, and then passes to Logan. You guys are probably thinking this is pretty boring right now, but trust me, it gets really good here in a bit. Logan plays a Vault of Whispers as his land for turn, and just hard casts Carrick. And he loses 8 life, 6 from Carrick and 2 from Boseiju. Ethan once again pays for the Mystic Remora, but unfortunately misses a land drop and passes to Justin. Justin untaps and lets his fish die. He plays a Wasteland as his land for turn and immediately Wasteland Logan's Boseiju. Logan and Cody share a handshake because not feeding the fish has been successful. Cody double fetches on his end step, getting a Forest and a Hollowed Fountain to the battlefield. Cody plays a Flooded Strand as his land for turn, then fetches up a Tundra to the battlefield with it, and casts Smothering Tithe. Ethan draws his last pathetic card off Mystic Remora. And then Cody passes to Logan. Logan does not pay for Smothering Tithe, then plays a Buried Ruin as his land for turn. He swings 2 Lifelink Commander at Ethan, and then passes to Ethan. Mystic Remora dies because he can't pay for it. He then casts Mox Opal, and then casts Rhystic Study. Oh boy, another one. In response to Rhystic Study, Justin casts Frantic Search, drawing 2, discarding 2, and then untapping 3 lands. He doesn't pay for Smothering Tithe either. Rhystic Study resolves, and Ethan passes. Justin starts his turn off with an Ancient Tomb, then just passes to Cody. He's up to something. Cody shocks in a Temple Garden on his turn, then taps for 2, and casts Cyclonic Rift, targeting Ethan's Rhystic Study, and he also pays for the Rhystic Study tax. Justin decides to respond and casts Ad Nauseam, taking 2 to Ancient Tomb. He doesn't pay the 1, and Ethan draws. Ethan doesn't pay the 2, and Cody makes another treasure. It resolves. I'm just going to speed this up a bit for you guys. He goes all the way down to 6 life and has an absolutely stacked hand. Cody's Cyclonic Rift resolves, and everybody's really curious what his deck actually does. Cody plays Jeweled Lotus, then cycles Veil of Summer to see what he can draw. After that, he casts Sensei's Divining Top and passes to Logan. Logan starts his turn off with a Lotus Petal, then taps for 1 and casts a Soul Ring. He then casts Zarin Orb. Logan begins to count his mana and realizes he can do something. So he taps Soul Ring and Peat Bog, sacrificing Peat Bog, pays 6 life to Crick, and...
Peer into the abyss, target Justin.
Yep. If this resolves, Justin will draw half his deck and lose half his life. Logan gets a counter on Crick, and this will make Crick's swing lethal. With really no other option, Justin casts Force of Will, exiling Mystical Tutor. Logan then moves to combat and swings the 3/3 Crick at Justin, putting him to 2, making sure he can't use that Ancient Tomb. And then Logan passes to Ethan. Ethan plays a Snow-Covered Swamp from his hand and passes to Justin. It's the moment of truth for Justin. Can he win? He starts his turn off with a Lotus Petal. He gets out his Storm counter, and it is not looking good for the rest of the table. He then casts Memnite, and then casts Culling the Weak to add 4 black to his mana pool, sacrificing Memnite. He then uses 2 of it to cast Demonic Tutor, searching up a card to his hand. He sacrifices his Lotus Petal for green, then casts Chalice of the Void on 0, and then uses that green mana to cast Multani's Presence. Ethan decides now's his time to interact, and casts Mana Drain, targeting the Presence. Justin quickly reacts, and casts Flusterstorm. Justin then plays a 0-drop Kobold, it gets countered, and he draws a card. He repeats it with another Kobold, then with an Ornithopter, repeats it with a Paradise Mantle, then with a Spellbook, a Tormod's Crypt, an Everflowing Chalice. Everyone shares their energy with Justin like a Spirit Bomb, and then Justin plays a Verdant Catacombs and cracks it, going down to 1. He finds a Tropical Island. He then taps out, using the last of his 2 mana, and casts Turnabout, untapping all of his lands. He taps for 2 and casts Underworld Breach. He begins to repeat his draws off of Multani's Presence from the graveyard, starting with Everflowing Chalice. He repeats the process with Everflowing Chalice by exiling 3 more cards, casts Mox Opal from his hand, drawing a card, recasting Everflowing Chalice from the graveyard, exiling 3 cards, repeats the process, but this time with Mox Opal, repeats it again, this time with Lotus Petal, casts Urza's Bauble from his hand, does it again with Welding Jar, once again with Darksteel Relic, recast Lotus Petal from the graveyard, exiling 3 cards. Justin stops his combo. Everybody's wondering if he fizzled out. All he needs at this point is a Lion's Eye Diamond to win, because he has a way to bounce Chalice of the Void in hand. Justin decides it's go big or go home. He wins over Bukes, his Chalice of the Void, bouncing it back to his hand, and everyone mills 2 cards. He recasts Lotus Petal from his graveyard, exiling 3 cards, and bets everything on the top 3 cards of his library. He sacrifices Lotus Petal and casts Brainstorm. He draws 3, puts back 2, and slams down a Lion's Eye Diamond. He makes 3 mana and discards a stack of cards. He shows everyone a Dark Ritual and a Tendrils of Agony, and that's enough for everyone to concede. Well guys, welcome to the end of the video. Thanks for making it and watching the entire thing. That was one hell of a turn from Justin there. I was really worried he would fizzle out, but Lady Luck had his back. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment. We love hearing feedback from you guys. And if you're not subscribed here, please do. We post an EDH video every week. And if you're not fond of competitive, we also post casual videos. And once again, you guys, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. We couldn't have done it without each and every one of you, and we never thought we'd hit it this quickly. If you want to join our thank you giveaway, the link is in the description for that video. Thanks again for watching, and have a smooth day.